thank you everybody for being here. We've shown you a lot of different means for utilization and functionality in Salesforce so far. We've gone through the overall sales console. We've done the service console with case management and request management. Today we're going to be showing you customer hierarchy. I'm going to show it to you actually I'm going to do it in PowerPoint to show you the structure of what we're rolling out moving forward. Then I'm going to go into Salesforce in the live environment and show it to you as far as how it's actually going to appear in the system. Then we're going to break for 5 minutes of Q&A at that point, just to get the immediate questions out of the gate. Then we're going to go into the reporting structure to show you the customer insights, which is actually the new version of the all-in report. So I wanted to give you a sneak peek. We're still working on it, still being developed, but I wanted to at least give you a first glance of what we're going to be looking at. There's some great visual dashboards and other things that we don't have in our current system with when we've moved from Cognos to other systems. But this is going to be a really nice way for you to be able to see how we're going to be looking at data moving forward. So with that in mind, let's go into and just a reminder, if you're joining, please go on mute, just because we're recording, and that will be helpful for us. All right, so out of the gate, we're going to be showing you the customer hierarchy. This is a new structure that we're putting together that's going to help us better organize our accounts. There's going to be some new terminology that I'm going to touch on quickly as well, so you have an idea of just what these terms are going to be as you're seeing them in Salesforce moving forward, because companies will have certain designations next to them as you log in and as you're actually interacting with them in Salesforce. So out of the gate, you have just independent companies. And this is about 80% of the companies that we work with now. So we're not really talking about a larger company hierarchy structure. These are just independent companies or sole proprietorships that work with us directly. And all companies, as they grow and evolve, they might start as an independent company in the system, and then as they get bigger and have multiple divisions, then they might become global ultimates or domestic ultimates, which we're going to walk through today. But as I said, most of them are just independent companies out of the gate. These can be created by any users in the system. There's no specific privileges that are required for it. You're also seeing on the right-hand side something called secondary company. I'm going to touch on that in a minute, so let's just sort of leave that as a placeholder right now. So this is the larger sort of, just visualization of what the company hierarchy looks like. It's a 3-tiered system, so we're starting off with at a global level, then it's going to be domestic, so it's actually going to be grouped by countries themselves or geographies. Then we get into more specific divisions. The great thing about how we're rolling this out within Salesforce is that when you're actually looking at the companies in the system, you can do a roll-up. So you can see all of the companies, the contacts, the agreements, opportunities that go across a hierarchy in general, which now is one of the biggest frustrations that users have. You go into the system, you put in a company, you have no idea if it's part of a bigger family of accounts or if people are working with us, if there's existing business, maybe there's pricing agreements or premium access. This is going to give a lot better visibility into clients in general and allow us to better manage our accounts. So I'm going to go into the specific definitions now. So the global ultimate, obviously this is the topmost parent entity of any multinational organization. This is not a transactional account. It's very similar to the global parent companies that we currently have in CRM Dynamics. And any user, as we talked about before, can create an account, but in order for it to become a global ultimate, we do have a request process in place, and finance and others on the ERA team will be designating it specifically as a global ultimate. So the next tier down is the domestic ultimate. Again, it's meant to be a real-world entity, and this is the same thing where it's not something that a user can automatically designate as domestic ultimate. We will have an approval process in place for this. But these are going to be the standalone companies on a domestic level that have many divisions. There's no limit to how many divisions can actually roll up to them. But all of these divisions have to have the same billing country at the end of the day. So this is a nice way for us to organize by territory or geography how you're actually looking at companies in our system overall. And then division. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. These are the different divisions or companies themselves that we're going to be doing probably most of our actual transactions against in the system on a day-to-day basis. And so now I'm going to touch on secondary companies. This is something that we're putting in place that the system allows us to do. These are almost duplicate or dummy accounts that we're creating due to inflexible needs from the client for billing purposes or for viewing access where you only want certain people to see certain types of content. This is a really nice way for us to have it in our system, and it has a designation because we have a lot of these now. With the sales reps are memorizing Oracle numbers or figuring out, well, this is just a placeholder account that we're doing billing against. In Salesforce, you can actually designate it as a secondary company, and you basically, you parent it to the company that it is duplicating. So the nice thing is that they are going to be linked, and you know that this isn't technically a secondary company, but it is a billing placeholder or a viewing placeholder for convenience sake. All right. So I think that the best way to look at this is to have a real world example, because when you talk about it in theory, I realize it's confusing. So I've used General Electric here as an example. Obviously, this is a very partial hierarchy of the larger General Electric account. GE is a massive company, but I wanted to at least drill it down to just a very basic segmentation. So the global ultimate, obviously, is General Electric. The domestic ultimate is GE Capital, so that's one of their larger divisions within the United States. And underneath that, we have multiple actual divisions. So the two that I've put in here, GE Capital Aviation Services, and then their Energy Financial Services as well. But I at least wanted to explain what this looks like in the hierarchy structure. And now I'm actually going to show it to you in Salesforce. All right. So here is the general homepage in the Sales Console within Salesforce. This should look familiar to a lot of you now. I'm going to go up to the search button, Global Search at the top. As soon as I click in, you see that there's the automatic drop-down of the accounts that I've been looking at the most recently. This is also duplicated over here on the right-hand side where it says Recent Records, which is, for ease of use and just speed. So if I'm toggling back and forth between accounts or different programs, I can quickly go back to accounts that I was recently working on. So at this point, I'm going to search. I'm going to put in General Electric. I'm going to hit return, and these are my search results. The great thing about this is that you see automatically, due to visual cues, which companies we're talking about as far as the hierarchy. So this right here is telling me that this is the Global Ultimate account. I don't have to necessarily click in. I am going to click in, but this is giving you a quick designation as far as who is who. So up here we have the Global Ultimate. This is the Domestic Ultimate. And then we have the various companies that roll up underneath it. So I'm going to click on the Global Ultimate here. And again, you will see that it is designated at the top of the record. So easy viewing and convenience. And what I can do is I can go over to this drop-down over on the right-hand side. I can click on View Company Hierarchy. So when I click on this, it gives me the greater view. So it shows you the current account that I have open is General Electric. Then I can actually expand this with the downward arrow. So you see the General Electric Capital account and the other two that I was talking about before as well. So if I click in, let's just go into the General Electric Capital account. So again, you see this is the Domestic Ultimate. And this is showing me out of the gate some of the contacts that are related to it, opportunities. It's showing me, the next steps I've put in place, some of the past activities. I can scroll down and see, the additional information that we have on this account. There actually is a pricing agreement in place for this, so that's a nice way of being able to see it. And if I wanted to go ahead and see not just what's under this account in the system, but what is related in the larger hierarchy, I click on this 360 Related tab. And this is going to show me a full 360 of every single contact, opportunity, user. If you just joined, can you please go on mute? Thank you. So we have opportunities, we have cases, we have, this is another new term that we're going to be getting used to, product instances. These are our agreements, essentially. So premium access is going to be under here. Here's the pricing agreement that I showed you on the previous page. They also have Easy A for royalty-free, but you would click in to see which account these are related to, because when you're in the 360 view, it's showing you the greater relationship. So the wonderful thing about this is if you're in one of the division accounts, which I'm going to show you one of the divisions now and click back here. So again, I click the downward arrow, I go back to View Company Hierarchy, and you're going to see the same screen, but now it's designating that I'm in this account. This is the current account, whereas before I was up here. I'm going to click on the aviation services. And from here, I can see that here's a contact, here's premium access. I scroll down. They are the account actually with the Easy A that we had been speaking about before that you could see in that sort of larger view. So the nice thing here is that when you go into that domestic ultimate, you can see if there's a pricing agreement in place, you can see what other activities are there. It's a really nice way for you to know how companies and contacts and opportunities relate to each other. All right, so that is the Salesforce demo. I am going to now if you guys have a question, I'm just going to let you unmute yourselves. But let's spend 5 minutes just going for some questions on this before we move into the reporting part. So opening up the floor for questions.
Susan, this is Daniel from Spain. Why we are using different names in this case instead of the names that the guys are really used to use, the ultimate, and is a bit confusing probably?
We're putting this in place, Daniel, to give some organizational structure across the board. There's only 3 tiers. So you have the global ultimate, domestic ultimate, and then you have the division companies in general. But the idea is to have a specific naming convention that we're using across the sales organization. So we understand how, it's speaking the same language. It's basically putting some familiarity in, because all that we really have now is global parent, right? And global parent is helpful. I mean, that's essentially going to be the global ultimate moving forward. This is just giving us a little bit more uniformity and being able to see companies and having more structure and organization. So are there other terms that your team is using?
No, we are used to company, global parent, all these names that are familiar to the teams. But yeah, it's just to get used to it. No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to walk through it, Daniel, today, just to give you guys a view and why we're doing it in the demo, because it's a little bit of a change with introducing some new words. But at the end of the day, as we get used to it, the visibility that it provides us and the explanation without having to do a lot of digging, I think we'll once we get used to it, it will become second nature. But out of the gate, it's obviously going to be complicated and a little confusing.
This is Nina. I also just want to add, there's some best practice terminology in here that certainly Slalom from a master data management perspective has helped us to add. And in addition to that, we've partnered with Dun & Bradstreet in order to get this information on company hierarchy, and that kind of weaves the hierarchy all together. So it is very new and all that, but it's also sort of we're matching the standard of language in this area.
Thank you for bringing up the Dun & Bradstreet, Nina, because that's actually a great point. And Daniel, we are going to be integrating a lot of Dun & Bradstreet information around companies, which will be the amount of data and visibility and information that it gives us for larger account management and leads is going to be really significant. So it is going to be a little bit strange out of the gate, realize that, but hopefully the benefit is going to far outweigh the initial confusion that we have on the sales floors.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone else? All right. All right, so let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. So the second part of this is reporting and customer insights. And we have a third-party system now, which is a website which I'm going to be navigating to called ClearStory. It is going to be integrated into Salesforce moving forward out of the gate. Right now it's under development, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is definitely a work in progress. There's a lot of different people that we've been speaking with just to make sure that reporting overall makes sense and is providing not just the information that we need, but in an easily digestible manner so that we have a great way to be able to look at our information and, without necessarily sifting through tons of spreadsheets, because I know that's one of the biggest challenges is it's great to have the data, but it doesn't you have to spend a lot of time slicing and dicing it and actually making it easily digestible, not just for salespeople, but also for, managers, just to help to manage your salespeople and what they're working on, but for clients. If you're working on reporting, we definitely have reporting requirements. This is going to be a nice way to be able to capture information and to share it out in an easily communicated means. So let me go into ClearStory. And as I said, this right now is the current website, but it will be available within Salesforce when you're looking at it at an individual company level. These reports will appear, so just understanding that right now. So this is the Customer Insights page, and report. This is, as I said, going to be replacing the all-in report that we have now. There are other reports, a large number of reports that we're going to be building into ClearStory beyond this. Those are being worked on. But for today, I really wanted to focus on the Customer Insights because I know that this is one of the big and popular ones that is very commonly used. So here is the main page. You have a selection of different reports that you can look at here, revenue by product, downloads. As you scroll down, you'll see there's more. The nice thing here is that you have, graphs and other ways to be able to look at data, again, so you're not just sifting through spreadsheets. The other thing that I really like is that you also have some color cues here that's telling you, the darker green is obviously the higher number, the larger revenue, whereas the yellow is the lower. So it's drawing your eye to, where you really want to be looking. You can look at this page for just the 6 reports that are here. You can toggle here. If I click on this button, it brings me to the first report, and then I can scroll through those 6 that were on the main page. So let me give you an example of this now. There's also a comment section here. I'm going to minimize this for now, but the nice thing is that because this is a shared environment, if you're seeing something in a report and you want to ask a question or make a comment, you can add a comment here for future reference. But we're not going to use that today. So I'm minimizing that just to maximize the screen view. So revenue by product, this is for a specific company as of right now. You can go up to the company filter. This is for Barclaycard, already in the system. So hit apply. Let's just stay with this account. You can also put in additional filter criteria here. You can do, this is showing year to date out of the gate. You can go and put in, so let's say that we wanted to look at Q4 for last year. So we'll do October through December of 2016. I hit apply in the filters, then I have to go back and hit month again. There's going to be some just clicks here that we're going to have to figure out as we're building it and also getting the teams used to how it's working. So this is filtering through, and this is going to show you obviously a smaller subset of the data or a different subset than what you were looking at before. So this client, this is, again, you can change by region if you're looking at this at a greater scale, if you've put in a parent account at the company level, or maybe a global ultimate and you want to drill down. Seller, you can add for specific account executives if you want to be looking at somebody in the activities that they've been doing, company IDs, and then also individual IDs for certain users as well. So let's stay with the Barclaycard account, and I'm going to stay with the criteria that I put in for those few months. And so you can see here, revenue by product, great to see, annual subs, royalty-free. You can also look at some of the filters here to drill down a little bit more specifically, as we talked about above. And I'm going to go over to this right-hand arrow. This is going to take me to the next report that you saw on the home page of these reports. So I'll scroll through just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. We have downloads by portfolio. So this is showing during that same period of time what kind of content the clients are downloading. Revenue by month, great stuff. So you can see quickly where they're actually spending their money and how it's breaking down into the different product types. downloads by month. This is showing the downloads and actually, where they're coming from, so you can see quickly what type of content they're using or downloading. And this also, by the way, does clarify with premium access, with entertainment or editorial subscriptions or EZA. It does differentiate that as well. Revenue versus downloads. Again, a really nice, wonderful, easy visualization so you can see this in real time. You can click into these two and see, explore insights. You can drill down into a lot of these. This is just the very high level out of the gate. And then revenue and downloads by company. So you can see at the greater scale, if you have multiple records in the system, it breaks it down easily for you so you don't have to go in and sift through all of the different data points. And then that takes me back to the home page. So as you can see, these are the different ones that I was scrolling through. So a lot of really great information. Obviously, this is a sneak peek of what we're going to have, and it is going to evolve over time. Right now it's evolving even day by day as we're putting new requests into this and clarifying some different points. The one thing that you do not see here, and I want to call this out because this is one of the things that I called out, is that you don't necessarily know. We are looking at Barclaycard, but when you look at the screen without this, it doesn't tell you who the customer is. Obviously, when you're in Salesforce, you will have the company record open, and that will be a little bit more visible. But we have put in a request to have the company name up front because that is obviously just an initially confusing thing. But I wanted to give you an idea of some of the initial dashboards that you will be seeing. There will be more that are going to be helping with KPIs, with manager coaching on a day-to-day basis as far as pipeline opportunities, where we're looking at and where we're spending our time. So that's it for the ClearStory demo. So at this point, we have about 15 minutes left overall for Q&A, because I know that we try to keep these to 45 minutes. So I'm just going to open up the floor for questions and unmute yourself.
Hey, good morning. This is Gary. This is the program manager that's actually working on the reporting aspect of it. And just to kind of reiterate what Suzanne's already kind of walked through, all of this work all of the reporting that you're seeing here will be integrated in directly into Salesforce. So you won't have to go into a different reporting tool. You'll be inside Salesforce, the application. It's just another place called Insights, where you'll be able to drill down into the low level of detail. There's also, we're working on incorporating, like Suzanne was talking about, specific reports that would be underneath the customer record that are similar to like today. So you have your revenue, you have your downloads information, but there's going to be full integration in with Salesforce, so you won't have to go outside the tool.
Okay, there's a question from Dublin on this, on reporting. Can we export it to Excel?
Yes, you can. And you can put it in PowerPoint and CSV. You can do a number of different things with it.
Thank you.
Yep.
And one other thing I want to add, because this is probably going to be a question too, this data is refreshed every few hours. So when you're actually in the system, you don't have to wait a day to have the most recent data. It's going to be pretty regularly refreshed.
Hey, this is Stephanie from Los Angeles. I just had a question. Are we transitioning all reporting into ClearStory, or is stuff like Cognos or that sales reporting tool, is that still going to be available to us?
The goal is to move all of it into ClearStory and ultimately into Salesforce. So the great thing is, and thank you for bringing this up, Stephanie, the great thing is that it's all going to be in one environment, so you don't have to go to all of these different places to find the information that you need.
Okay, so eventually is there going to be the ability to export the data with thumbnails? Because occasionally we do get that request from customers. Gary, has thumbnails come up as a request?
Not yet, but I know exactly which report, the download with details with thumbnails is reports that we just migrated off of Cognos into SSRS, and it's definitely in the backlog of things to do. Like we want to be able to put everything inside of ClearStory. We're just kind of taking the most important reports first, and then we're just going to kind of continue to work back, down the priority list.
I guess this is Nina. I'll also add, and this won't be in the timing of our rollout, but we'd like to move a lot of the download reporting to self-service on the website. So I don't want to dangle that out there too quickly as a carrot, because it won't, we'll still be doing this for some period of months. But ideally, sales won't have to have a hand in that interim step unless they want to, by all means, but we'd like to move that to self-service.
Okay, cool.
Anyone else?
Hey, Suzanne, it's Rosa.
Yeah.
Following up on Stephanie's question in regards to the download reports, will they also be, right now the all-in does not include duplicate downloads that count against caps. Will that be implemented to once it's rolled into Salesforce to include the duplicates?
Gary, has that been a data point that's been requested so far?
Not yet. I think that what we did, we built that one into the logic of our existing SSRS report, but when we move that over to ClearStory, we could definitely port that same logic over if necessary.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Suzanne, I have one more question from Dublin, actually.
Yes.
And we did hear you loud and clear, to be honest. It was a very good presentation. So far. Yeah, just in regards to reporting, I understand, of course, you can't go really into detail, and there's lots of reporting we do on a daily basis. Cognos and Optics and all those reports, can I take it that we will run this similar reports, they look very similar, or maybe let's rephrase that. We will put the same processes in place like we do with Cognos reports now. Is that correct? It just transfers into ClearStory.
Well, can you clarify a little bit more, Pippa, just as far as when you say processes?
Well, processes like we run many reports, if we have to see customer downloads or image IDs or all, like different reports. We're now using ClearStory as the portal, but it will be the same sort of the steps that we take when we're in Cognos or in Optics. It just looks, essentially.
Yeah, essentially it's, the goal here is to be able to create reports, that are already canned reports that we know are going to be popular, and obviously like the all-in is a very popular report, so customer insights. And then there's the different ones that are within here as far as, when you're looking at the downloads or the revenue. Being able to filter by specific criteria of, users or time frame or other things, yes, the goal is to be able to provide you with the flexibility to do that on a quick basis. So you're going to have the canned reports that you can then customize. You will also be able to favorite certain reports that are in the system, and you can also create your own. So if you're creating specific reports for a client that like I know we have some clients that we have to provide either weekly or monthly reports for, and as Nina said, hopefully, we will get something at some point that is client interfacing so they can actually run it directly themselves. But you can create those custom reports and save them. So when you go in every week, let's say that you change the date criteria because if it's a download report. But the goal is to make it easier out of the gate and hopefully fewer steps as you go down. Does that answer your question?
I did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to add is we're talking a lot about this as ClearStory. That is the application that we're integrating into Salesforce. But it's probably good for us just to refer to this as Salesforce reporting. By all means, we want this to be an integrated experience, not something separate. Today, you go to another place for reporting, and what we're trying to create is one place. So yes, you'll see ClearStory at the top, but we don't necessarily have to refer to it that way. I think just consider it your integrated Salesforce reporting.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point too, because there's a larger suite of reports that are already available in Salesforce too, and you will be able to see, dashboards for pipeline and other things, that are in Salesforce as well, just out of the box. It's not something that we're having to go to ClearStory for. So if we do start talking about, Salesforce reporting overall, I think that's probably good just for consistency and clarity. Great. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for questions. A quick wrap-up slide here. So as you can see, the whole idea of this is to show you, how we're going to be handling accounts and, handling our data moving forward. The data cleanup process that we're going through is definitely a work in progress as far as how the clients are now and how we're migrating them over to the system. So from day one with Pilot, we're still going to be working on making the data look as we would like it to for the end game in Salesforce. So that is coming as far as the new categorization making sure that we have roll-up visibility into how these accounts are going to be working with us on a hierarchy level, and really providing great time saving for reporting and just viewing of client information and relationship in Salesforce in one place moving forward. So super exciting stuff. I really hope that this was helpful. And if you guys have additional questions or thoughts, you know where to find me. Thank you, everybody.